The third strategy is a sentence building activity where students are building in adverbials. Here we can also use the sentence patterning chart as a wonderful tool to enrich our sentences. We can begin this sentence building activity with using a picture file. Here's an example of a panda eating some bamboo. We start with having the students identify the subject and a predicate based on this picture file. In this case, students might say, "The panda eats," or similar to the sentence patterning chart, we might ask them to say it in the plural and say, "Pandas eat." That sentence is just fine, just as it is. It's a two-word sentence that includes a subject and includes a predicate. We can remind students that they need to begin with a capital and end with a period if they're writing that as their sentence. From there, we can have students add in additional elements and adverbials into their writing. For example, we might ask students to add in some adjectives to that initial two-word sentence. So we might have students say, "Beautiful pandas eat," or "Black and white pandas eat." They can brainstorm additional adjectives that they would like to incorporate into their sentence. They might even add in 2 adjectives, or potentially more, depending on their sentence, of course. Now we've expanded our sentence just a bit, where students say, "Beautiful black and white pandas eat." Now we can add in some additional adverbials. So I might ask the students, "Where do the beautiful black and white pandas eat?" And they might add, "In the jungle." Let's add that to our sentence. So then we have, "Beautiful black and white pandas eat in the jungle." Notice here that we're creating more and more complex sentences as time goes on. Once they have the subject and predicate, they've added in some adjectives, we're beginning to add in some prepositional phrases. We can ask the students, "When do these pandas do these things?" And so they might add, "Beautiful black and white pandas eat in the jungle when they're hungry." At any point, we can stop the sentence building process, but we can teach students how to build more and more complex sentences over time. Now that they have when, they can add in why, and add in the phrase, "because they're hungry," for example. We can also have students add in an adverb if they would like to. So ultimately, we might have a sentence that says something like, "Beautiful black and white pandas eat slowly in the jungle throughout the day because they're hungry." At any point, we can also revise or edit our sentence. So if we want to change a word here or there along the way that makes more sense, that's fantastic. It shows students that writing is a process and that we go through various iterations of a particular sentence or of a piece of text. This is just one example of one sentence that actually could be multiple sentences. The idea is to show students how they can add complexity to their sentences. We can also then talk to students about sentence complexity and how we want to have some sentences that are shorter, some that are longer, some that are medium length, so that our writing is more interesting to read and more dynamic.